You know, in late May, we told you about a woman who was chained up inside an abandoned building by a man who sexually assaulted her near 119th and Eggleston. Her only saving grace was the passerby who heard her cries for help. She told police that he was an acquaintance who sparked up a conversation before turning on her.
She been beating on the window for weeks. We talked to the girl and everything. Man, on everything, G. She in there.
How she can't get out? She tied up.
She tied up or something.
She locked in that room.
Or locked in that room.
44-year-old Joel Kamen here was charged with aggravated criminal sexual assault and aggravated kidnapping in that case. You know, it happens more often than you think, and she's one of the lucky ones. Killers know that these abandoned homes, they make the perfect place to permanently silence their prey. They know no one steps foot inside these buildings for weeks, months, even years. And by then, critical evidence is often overlooked or destroyed. In fact, this is a 27-year pattern that's been repeated over and over and over again. The Murder Accountability Project in Alexandria, Virginia, has been tracking these violent crimes. You can see the dots on this map. They show where dozens of women, mostly black women, were beaten and strangled to death. Some of them were left in those abandoned buildings, others in dumpsters, others dismembered. And we talked with one of those families about the anguish and the never-ending questions of who did it and why. Myrna Walker will never forget the sinking feeling in her gut when she realized the moment her sister Nancy went missing nearly 20 years ago from this very building that still bears a plaque with her name in Bronzeville. Nancy was the eldest of 6 siblings and as a result would become a leader in life and in business.
Nancy was an entrepreneur. She had many businesses. She was a dancer. She owned a beauty salon, houses, condos, townhouses, 2 flats, 3 flats, you name it, she had it.
Nancy, her family says, was a perfectionist, a detail-oriented person who didn't trust strangers. But on that fateful day in January of 2003, Nancy got into a van with 2 men Myrna did not know.
A black van pulled up, and they say she came out of the salon, walked over to the van, opened the door, got in, and they just took off with her. And they were probably telling her about some property that they may wanted to show her. But I don't think she totally trusted them, but she didn't tell me about them because maybe they were kind of not really, kind of shady. And so as soon as I got back to my office, I called her and I'm like, I waited for you and you didn't show up and you haven't called me. I said, call me. And she never called me. So when I got home, I called her again and I bawled her out again. She didn't call me again. So I'm like, okay. I'll call her the night before we go to bed, because we usually talk every night before we go to bed. She didn't answer.
Myrna went to her sister's condo, and everything inside was in perfect order. Oddly, her cell phone was still there. Nancy was not.
So I said, this is not good. So that's when we left her place, and we went straight to the precinct to put in a missing persons report.
This is where critical time is wasted. Myrna says once Chicago police found out Nancy was from Inglewood, the urgency was tempered with questions about her character.
They stereotype people from Inglewood. Everybody's a criminal. Everybody took guns. Made us feel like we weren't worthy.
It wasn't until Myrna got support from well-known Chicagoans Delmarie Cobb, Alderman Dorothy Tillman, and then Commissioner Tony Preckwinkle that police started to finally listen. And then, 63 days after she went missing, workers found 3 bags along the Bishop Ford Expressway.
3 bags, head in one, arms in another, and legs in the other. They never found the torso. We don't know what they did with the torso. She was first strangled. There was an indication that she was beaten. What could a person do so bad to you or say so terrible to you that you could do something like that to them?
It is hard for Myrna to share details of her sister's disappearance and murder. The pain is as fresh today as it was then. and the questions of who and why remain.
She didn't really take time, you know.
Now, we did reach out to the Chicago Police Department to get a status update from them on the Nancy Walker case and on the information collected by the Murder Accountability Project. And here's what they tell us. They say, quote, each of these cases has been reviewed by detectives who are detailed to the FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force, and there is no evidence linking the cases to each other or suggest that there is a serial killer responsible for these homicides. Detectives are continuing to investigate the cases individually as we work to seek justice on behalf of the victims and their families. Of course, Fox 32 is going to be looking deeper into the dozens of the unsolved strangulation murders of black women. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be talking to more families left with no answers and no justice. From the Murder Accountability Project tracking these cases to the longtime Chicago homicide detectives and the tireless community activists who believe this is the work of one or more serial killers. And we're going to tell you their theories and concerns about all of the silenced prey cases that remain unsolved.
Can't imagine the frustration. You can hear the anguish and the frustration in that in her voice. You and I were talking in the newsroom, and you were telling me that not only is strangulation one of the more violent forms of taking a life, but it takes tremendous strength, does it not?
Yeah, and they're only 1% of the murders that we have in Chicago, according to the homicide detectives that I've spoke with. And that's why they feel that they should look deeper into this. And you're right, it takes a great amount of strength to strangle someone. This person is fighting for their life. And it's not over like the movies in 30 seconds or 40 seconds. It takes several minutes, sometimes up to 10 minutes to strangle someone. And the fact that the individuals are often tied with ropes or duct tape shows that whoever was doing this was on the hunt for somebody to do. Who carries around duct tape and rope in their car?
And does it mean it's a serial killer, one individual?
That's what we need to find out. And that's what some believe. And of course, the Chicago police are telling us otherwise. But there are people who believe the opposite.
Good reporting.
All right, thank you.